kids ask why 300 times a day.
Yeah.
They are the archetypal question asker. Why do we lose the ability to ask good questions the older we get?
I don't think we do. I don't agree. I know a lot of people are saying that, but I don't think we do. We don't lose the ability, but we realize that the consequence of AI, of questions not being innocent, is that it comes with a responsibility. And it's also, when we ask a question, we admit, it's not only acknowledging, it's also admitting that there's something we don't know. That's why we ask. So it's admitting ignorance. And that's not something that we are being we're not being promoted for being ignorant. We are not being, not getting good grades for saying, I don't know, please ask someone else. That's not how we progress. That's not how we achieve things in school and in work life. So I think we just stop sharing the questions. It's not like we don't have the ability to ask them. When I give keynotes, I typically start out by inviting people to write down a question. I haven't said anything. I've just said, hi, nice to be here. I'm glad to be here. Nice to see you guys. I want to start by inviting you to write down a question. And it takes about a minute. Then everybody in an audience have written down a question. I don't tell them how. I don't tell them what to do. I don't even give them examples. I just say, I'm going to trust you to know how to write a question. So please write down a question. It needs to be relevant to why we're here today, but it also needs to have some kind of importance to you. That's the only two rules. Everybody knows how to do that. So
that's really hard. I've just been trying to think of it, and I like, there's so many forces pushing on my brain in that split second to come up with a question which I think is wise or funny or profound or relevant. Or Jeremy, what question did you have in your mind just when she asked?
Why is the curtain system driving us to not want to ask questions because we're scared of looking like we don't know the answer? I think that's where my head goes in a lot of this. I think is there's a Tom Waits quote I reference a lot, and we bring it up a lot on the show, that Tom Waits says we're operating in a deficit of wonder. So how does wonder and curiosity come into the art of asking really good questions?
I actually like to talk about it as the big question family, because we have these, there are some things we automatically think when we talk about questions. People say curiosity, or creativity, or, these are the nice cousins in the family. These are the ones we want to play with. We want to sit next to at the family dinner. But it's just as I mentioned before, the bright and the dark side, doubt and skepticism, they are also part of the question family. And I think that is part of the reason why we get more careful not to ask questions all the time of all kinds of people, because we know that in addition to showing off our ignorance, we are putting some kind of pressure on the people we are asking. So also referring back to this distribution of responsibility, that I know that when you ask a question, the spotlight is on me, and you know that I know that. So we can set it up like this in a formal setting. This is a podcast. We agreed to do this. You prepared some questions. I prepared some answers. Now we're going to do it. But if you just met me, someplace, and you started asking me all these questions, then it would start looking like something else. And that is an interrogation. And that is, when we want to hold someone responsible for something. And that's not a nice situation to find yourself in, unless you are a lawyer and this is your job. So there are so many traditions and cultural dimensions to asking questions. And because it's kind of a blind spot in our culture when we talk about questions, it's like it's a tool for journalists, or it's something that can be used to do a poll or to do a survey. But we rarely talk about these cultural, philosophical, basic human existential and ethical dimensions of questions. But they constantly have an impact on whether or not we ask and how we ask if we do it.